All right, welcome out to another episode of the Pirates Cove podcast. This will be episode number 95. That's right, five away from 195. And of course, this is the Pirates Cove, so we're going to be talking Rockport-Fulton Pirate High School sports. And today I got a guest with me. We're going to be talking Pirate baseball. We got the head man here, Coach Arturo Elizondo. Coach, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing good.
All right, Coach. Thank you for coming down, spending some time with me during this spring break. I kind of thought, I said, man, I think Coach is on vacation. I didn't think that it was going to be spring break. And then I looked at your schedule and I said, well, wait a minute, he's got a game on Friday. I don't think he'd go on vacation knowing he's got to come back and play a game on Friday. So thank you for spending some time with me. We won't take that long, maybe about 20 to 30 minutes, Coach. I got a couple of questions for you. So if you're ready, we'll get started with question number one. And I kind of want to go back, Coach, to last year. In 2022, you had a what I would call a successful season. You guys were second place in district. We went all the way to the third round of the playoffs. So, I mean, that to me, that's a success. And coming back, you had some of your players coming back in 2023. Coach, I want to ask, what's the mentality after having a successful season in 2022 and getting that far into the playoffs? What was the mentality coming into 2023? And what were you telling your kids to be able to succeed, to get past or at least to the third round or past the third round in 2023?
Yes, last year was special. We built that team since they were freshmen. The whole, I would say, friendship connection that all those kids had playing little league and select ball and just being a good core got us to where we were last year. And the year before that, we had made the playoffs and lost in the first round. So we had goals. Our goal was to get back in the playoffs and win the first round. And once we won that first round last year against West Columbia, we said, hey, let's make this a record season for us and let's go win the second round. And we won the second round and got to the third round, and it was special. It was a special season. Once that season's over, you start looking into the future. I mean, you can't dwell on it. You can't say, what happened is going to happen again. So as soon as the season was over, I got a couple of kids on the side and said, hey, it's your time now. We lost 5 seniors out of that group, and now it's time for you to shine. It's your chance to be the next great Rockport-Fulton Pirate baseball player. And so when this season began, we had a lot of returners coming back. And of course, we had some kids not come back, leaving towards another school. But at the same time, we had a good core. We have, to me, the core we have coming back are leaders, and they know how to win, and they know how to lead a team, and they know how to lead a young team. Because I've told them too, I said, you were in those same shoes as those young kids 2-3 years ago. And I didn't put any limits on you. I wanted you to play the best you could. And they took it with a grain of salt and said, yes, sir, we got it. And so, this year's mentality is the same thing. Let's get to the playoffs. Let's make a run and just have fun and enjoy it and see what happens.
Yeah, well, baseball is being put on the map here in Rockport the last couple of years. Because I remember when you started as the head man here, your first year, COVID took your first season, I believe, if I'm right. And then second year, you get to that first round, and then last year to the third round. So this is your fourth season here, third, fourth one, but fourth as a head man. So I would say you've done a great job, Coach, so far in your short term as the head man. And it's great to see the success that these young boys are having. You're going to get some of these players back for one more year. So it's going to be exciting this year and next year to see what Rockport can do. Then you got some young guys too that we'll talk about that I'm really excited to see this year and the next couple of years. Coach, I'll ask you to talk a little bit about your roster, who's on the team this year, your varsity squad. Then I'll also ask you to talk a little bit about your assistants, who's on your staff.
Yes, sir. We have a good core of kids right now that are bubble kids. I like to call them bubble kids because I don't want to take any playing time away from them. So there's 4 kids that run back and forth from the JV to the varsity. You'll see them dress out with the varsity sometimes on Fridays for district play. And, they'll play their JV game during the week, and then they'll come with us. But I've been using a lot of them during tournaments, and that's been the great thing. We have number 1. He's a freshman, Chris Oakman. He's a pitcher for us on the varsity level. He's done really well coming in spot places and putting himself in a good situation that we can maybe use him in the future for varsity games this season. You have number 2, Isaiah Elizondo. He's a junior. He's Mr. Utility. Right now, he is playing everywhere that we need him, and he loves it. So just to have him there is a huge asset to the team. Number 3 is another returning starter, Jordan Gibson, who's a junior. He's our second baseman, and he's our leadoff. And that kid is a spark plug, and everything has been great for him coming back from his shoulder injury during football. So we've kind of kept him, low key a little bit here or there, but he's ready to go 100 miles per hour. You have number 4, who's a sophomore, Sean Howe, who's a returning starter as well. Last year he was just a pitcher. He would come in and relieve during the season, but this year he's everywhere as well. He's Mr. Utility number 2. He's playing first, he's playing third, he's pitching, he's playing outfield, played a little shortstop. So, I'm seeing great things out of Sean, and he's taking it as grain of salt as well, and he loves it. Number 5 is our senior, Devin Phillips, who's been on the varsity for 3 years. He's our starting left fielder and our cleanup hitter. He's been hitting the ball well. This year he played basketball. And it's like he just like riding a bike when he came back on the baseball field, man. He's hitting the ball hard and coming through for us and being a leader. Number 6 is another senior, Aiden Rangel. He played a little bit last year on the JV and would come with us on the varsity. So this year right now he's actually a designated hitter and a third baseman. And he's contributing to the team as much as he can. Number 8 is a sophomore, Dawson Phillips. He is an outfielder, courtesy runner right now that can run the bases and run down fly balls, and we see good things out of him in the future. Number 9 is another senior, David Chitterath. He's a track guy, but he loves baseball, and we love having him out there. And he runs the bases, and he does everything we ask him to do. And you can always have a teammate like that. Spark plugs the dugout, and that's what we like. Number 10 is Blake Garcia, a junior, who plays the outfield. He kind of goes back and forth with the JV because he needs some reps there at the plate, and he's contributed as well. You have number 11, Ryder Whitstein, who's a junior, who controls center field for us and bats in the 5 spot. A lefty that to me is always good to have in the middle of the lineup, and he's got that raw power that just can come through anytime we need him to. Number 12 is the other senior, Kyle Novak, who is a pitcher for us, and he plays first base. He's the leader of our team. He's very vocal, and he sets the tone for a lot of the times when we get out of hand or things get crazy, and he's got to put his foot down, and I like that about Kyle. Number 13 is another freshman, Jackson Gruber. He is our catcher, and he designated hitter as well. I put him at third a couple of times. I put him on the mound. But he's a good one. He's got a bright future, and our future is to put him at catcher, and we move him around just so his legs don't get tired. Number 14 is a junior, Aiden Smith, who has come onto the scene. That I'm very highly. I like what he's doing. He's our 2-hole hitter who is really fast and strong, and right now we have him in outfield and at catcher. So he's come along a long ways, actually, from just last year. We have number 15, a junior, Case Patterson, who comes back and forth. He's a pitcher for the varsity. He'll come in and relief pitch sometimes, and he's a good one. And then you have number 21. You have number 21, Aiden Moreno, who's a junior. He's right now injured with his hand, but he's going to come back and be a middle infielder for us as well and play a little third and pitch for us. So we're waiting for him to come back, and that'll be a good spark plug there. And then we have number 23, Jackson Cowan, who's another freshman, who is really good. He reminds me of the freshman that we had 3 years ago that came up. And, man, he's got the tools that can make him really good. Right now he's our 9-hole, and he's our shortstop. And I like his energy, and that's kind of where we're at right now with the lineup or the roster. And I think it's 16 guys. And right now, that's what we're trying to run with, and we'll see how it goes from there.
Man, sounds interesting, Coach. And I'm listening to the freshmen. I've seen the Gruber fella, the 2 freshmen. I've seen them pitch some, which is exciting because they're so young, right? You'll have them this year and 3 more years, hopefully. So it's exciting to see. A lot of these guys will be back next year on this roster, which is it's great to see. Coach, I'll ask you about your assistants. I know you're the head coach, but you got two or three guys. Can you talk a little bit about who your assistants are and their roles?
Yes, sir. My hitting coach and my catching coach is Coach Jonathan Mash. He's been with me the longest. We have a good connection, and he'll be the first base coach. And he does a really good job of helping me in the hitting. And we have the same philosophy. So when you have the same philosophy hitting, it works wonders. We have a new guy on staff. His name is Coach Jordan Martinez. He comes from Sinton. I guess if you can't beat him, you got to get somebody from over there and try to find their tricks. And he's done a great job with our pitchers. I mean, he has been phenomenal. I enjoy just listening to him. He just graduated from Texas Southern as a pitcher. And so just the stuff he has and the things he has with the kids has been working tremendously, and he does that for us. And then we have a volunteer coach who he loves baseball. And so he's a junior high coach that helped with the varsity football. And his name is Coach John Delgado. And he is good. I appointed him as the outfield coach. I said, if you want to help us coach, you're going to help us in the outfield. So, he's taken that and he's run with that. And, having four coaches is awesome. We can do so many more things. We can break into different groups. And, I kind of run the defense on the infield and I run the hitting. But we all contribute. I have the title and I make some of the decisions that aren't on the baseball field, but we all work and we are coaches. And that's what I like. We don't have no egos. And, hopefully those guys have dreams of being a head coach one day. And I think that's what makes our team work because they have the fire to be successful. And when you have that fire to be successful, the sky's the limit, especially in your program.
Yeah, absolutely. When I had Coach Bates on for basketball, he had a guy like that too. And he has a Westoso guy. You have a sitting guy. So, yeah, you're right. We're bringing them in. I have no problem with that. Bring them in. Let's see what they know, right? Help us out, beat some of these teams, right? But it's great to know that you have three coaches. I think the more help you can get, the better for obviously our kids. You can work with them more. And I've seen, like I said, last year, a great year. And I really, coach, think that this year, next year, just with the young talent that we have, and they've got talent, these young boys. I'm telling you, Pirate fans, if you have not come out to see a baseball game, you need to do it. You're hearing Coach here. He's talking about the youth, some young guys doing some big things. Our juniors and seniors also come on out. Still early in the season. We're getting into district. Come on out. Support your area Pirate baseball team, softball team. There's talent on both sides, man. You won't be disappointed when you come out and see them. Coach, I'll ask you to talk a little bit about your non-district. I've kind of seen the schedule, and it's been kind of tough. You've entered some with the young group. You've entered the sitting tournament. You've entered some tough tournaments, and you won some. And obviously, we've taken some losses. But there's always something I always say here on the podcast. You can learn from a loss, especially when you're young. When you're young, you're seeing what great looks like, and what level you have to be able to get to a state title and win one, right? So talk a little bit about the tournaments you put them in there. What did you want this young group to see and get better at before you get into district playing these tough teams in these tournaments?
When you make this schedule, you kind of have a mentality of you're going to go and win all these tournaments, and you're going to play 20 games before the district season starts. And we were able to play in some great tournaments this year. Our record was 5-8 over 13 games and 3 tournaments. I don't really play any non-district games that between tournaments because I just don't like doing that to my pitching, especially with the pitch count now. And, so what we do is, we prepare these guys. I mentally prepare them that they're going to start a game. And when they start a game, they're going to go between 60 and 70 pitches. And then we won't use them again during the tournament. So, that is the one thing that I look at when we start non-district games is I want to see who can pitch for us. And if you can pitch for us, you're going to pitch in district. So we've used a lot of guys. We've used about 7-8 guys to pitch in these games. And we've won some and we've lost some. And there were some that we lost that I thought we should have won. But, we just didn't come through with the big hits. And, we've kicked the ball around a couple of times in some games. But those are growing pains. This is my 20th year to coach and my 20th year to coach baseball. And when it comes down to it, it becomes an experience. The kids have to have the experience and they have to have the knowledge and they have to understand that they're not going to win every game. And when they lose the game, it's flush it and get ready for the next one. And so I've always told them this. I said, guys, win or lose, I always want to win. I said, but when we lose, we still have to win in life and what you do to prepare for the next game. And so they know that. They know that I'm going to love on them if we win. I'm going to love on them when we lose. But, the little things we got to fix, we're going to fix as a team and together. And I think we've grown. When we went to Sinton, we won one game. We went 1-3, and then we played in our tournament and we went 3-1. Mm-hmm. So we flipped it in a week, and then we went to Goliad after we played Sinton, and we ended up going 1-2. So you look at that, we're 4-4, 5-6. If you look at what we did, there's nothing wrong with that. 5-6, 5-7 for the tournaments, and we got a lot of kids and a lot of playing time. Mm-hmm. So I've always thought if you can handle yourself in a non-district tournament game that's timed, you can focus up and play a 7-inning game that really matters in district. And I tell people, always ask me, man, you had that game, man, you should have done this and you should have done that. And I get to the point where I'm like, some of these kids need to play so they can experience it, because as much as we know, making the playoffs and winning those district games is more important, and that's how I see it, and I've done some good things with it, and there's some mistakes I've made. I'm not going to lie and say, man, I should have done this, I should have done that. But, you live and die with them, and it's part of coaching, and it's part of what you do. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, and hopefully I can make the right calls in district and we can roll from there.
Yeah, Coach, and I'm going to be honest with you here on the podcast. I was one of those guys, man, we should have done this, should have done that. But I've learned a lot, Coach, in when I started this podcast and talking to coaches and coming on and understanding better, there's a plan, and it's bigger than just winning one game. And when you bring coaches in, and I look at these podcasts even from a year or two when I've done interviews in football, basketball, and I've learned a lot from what coaches come on here and say. There's the big picture. You want to win every game, but there's a plan behind everything that a lot of people don't really understand. Fans want to go out there, they want to win every game. That's we want to win. We support, we want to win. But as for coaches, like you said, playing certain kids, young kids, getting some playing time for them and having them experience is going to pay dividends somewhere down the road. If it's later on in the year or next year, what you're doing now, it's going to benefit the Rockport-Fulton Pirates somewhere down the road. And I like what you're doing. I'm starting to understand as I interview coaches, what the philosophy is. It's a bigger plan just outside of just going in there and trying to win the game. So definitely, I think coaching is hard. That's why I sit on this side and talk about it rather go out there, because I think it's really hard. The game plan, it's difficult to coach out there and try to get the best from the kids. So I think you're doing a phenomenal job, Coach, and we're lucky to have you here at Rockport-Fulton. Coach, I'm going to talk to you now about the offense. In particular, Gibson, I know he got hurt, but last year he was having a heck of a season. I've told people around Rockport, man, that kid's a baseball player. Now I've watched, he's just a natural baseball player. I love watching Jordan Gibson play. He's got a lot of talent, very smart kid on that baseball field, offensively and defensively. So I would think that you're leaning, a lot on Devin and Gibson and Isaiah, these guys that have been there the 3 years and so forth. And then you got some young guys. I've seen Smith get some good hits out there. You got some young guys that are hitting the ball. But I want to talk a little bit about your son, Isaiah. I want to ask you to kind of take off the coach cap and put on daddy's cap, right? I've watched this kid play as a freshman when he started, and I was really impressed with the freshman team. There was a lot of freshmen on that team. And when I saw him the first 2 times I saw him play, I said, boy, these guys got form. This team's going to be really good. In particular, your son, he's gotten better. I saw him last year as a sophomore, and this year he drives that ball. I mean, Coach, and I'm going to be honest with you, when the game is kind of close and we've got runners on second and third, and Isaiah Elizondo comes up now this year, we're going to get the big hit. That's my feeling. He's going to get the big hit. He's going to get the big run. I mean, he's going to get it in. Before, it's like, man, let's get it. Now it's almost expected because he's doing so good. He's driving that ball, getting big hits for us. As a dad, what have you seen? I know he's put in a lot of work because I've seen the work that he's done. I see it on Twitter, and he's always in the off season working. But as a dad, how special has it been for you to see your son just blossom, just continue to get better every year, game in and game out?
Yeah, it's special. I mean, most people don't get to coach their sons in high school, especially being a head coach and coaching your son. You know, it's not easy. You know, it's a lot of pressure, and he's been able to overcome it. You know the doubters and the haters and things like that. But man, he works. He's been working since he was little. You know, there's nothing that I can't say that he hasn't done. You know, and I was hard on him. I'm not gonna lie to you. You know, I was hard on him from 5 to 10 years old, and at 10 years old, my wife told me, if you're gonna stay this hard on him, he's gonna stop loving the game. And I had to step back a little bit and understand it because I knew eventually he was gonna be on my high school team. Eventually, I was gonna have to either step back or he was just not gonna enjoy it. So, you know, when he became a freshman, I threw him in the fire. You know, and I still remember just saying he was going to be a utility player and play whenever someone pitches and spot plays and this and that. And I mean, he took over at first and he never gave it up, you know, and he became the unanimous freshman of the year that year. And then last year we had to move him to third. We didn't have a third baseman. Our third baseman had graduated, and he's played third base a little bit. And he was like, Dad, I'll take it. And so he went and ran with it. And man, honestly, I think that's his position. If he has a future in college to go play, I think that's where he's going to end up because he's really calm and good there. And, you know, he's put in a lot of work. He's gone to a lot of showcases. He's gone a lot of, you know, camps, you know, and he puts a lot of stuff on Twitter and he puts stuff on emails that he sends to colleges, you know, and I help him as much as I can. But, you know, some people don't listen to you because you're the coach, the coach's son. And it can come back and say, oh, that's just him, you know, trying to boast up his son, and I've never done that, and he knows that. He's known I told him, I said, you got to work for what you got. You know, I'm not gonna just do it because I'm your dad or your coach, but you're gonna have to work your butt off. And he has, you know, as soon as football was over in November, he started going to a trainer in Corpus 3 times a week, and he went to Pelucio and he did training there, and now he's going to Mike McClendon for throwing and you know, he's just putting himself in there. He's going to Orlando for hitting, you know, and it's just he's got to get other ideas. You know, I've gotten to the point where I'm his dad and I'm his coach, but he has to grow away from me, you know, or he's just going to continue to do what I ask him to do, and he does it, but he needs to have his own, you know. And he's like, Dad, I'm going to go work for this guy. I say, go see what you can get to become better. And he loves it. You know, he loves the grind. You know, one person that I can give a lot of what he does, you know, besides just listening to me, is his mom and Tucker Redden. You know, Tucker Redden, the first year we were here in Rockport 9 years ago, he was the catcher, and he ended up going to Texas State and graduated from there. And having his voice, Isaiah's had him for 9 years, you know, since he was, you know, Ali, at that time, he was about 6 or 7 years old, and just listening to what he has to tell him has been the best advice he's ever had, you know, and I'm happy for him. He's still got a long ways to go, and he knows it. You know, people say he's too small, he's not big enough, he's not fast enough, but he knows it. He knows he has to get up there. And so when he gets to perform, I tell him, I said, hey, this is your time to shine. You never know who's here to watch you.
Absolutely.
And if somebody's here to watch you and you can excel, then the sky's the limit. So I'm blessed to have him on my team. And, you know, there's sometimes I want to be dad on the field, but then I'm like, no, I got to be coach. So it's happy and it's a good time. And I can't wait to just have this year and next year to cherish every moment that we get to have together.
Well, I'll tell you, I've talked to him a few times. Great attitude, positive attitude, coach. Very respectful young man. I love to interview him when I've had him on the podcast, and I plan to invite him and Gibson on here the next week or two. But I've enjoyed and I've watched him, and he's a leader. And you've got some leaders on this team, and that's great. You know, you said Tucker Redden. When I was a kid, I watched his dad, Tim, play baseball and basketball. And he was a great guy, man. I watched him on that baseball field. And I watched him on the court. You know, I was a kid going out to Memorial Park and watching. I remember Tim Redden and watching him play. You know, the boys were little. I hadn't seen them in quite some time, but their daddy was something special here in Rockport. I remember watching him play, and he was great. He was always out when he had time to go out to the park. There were some young kids playing basketball. Come out to the park, man, to the city park. Tim would, and he'd come out there and just help us out, help us develop. Just come out there just some time, spending an hour or two, just showing us how to shoot with the left hand. I mean, I remember those days, man. Great man. But he definitely loved Rockport. I can tell you that. So if he's
Yep.
out there with his son, if his son's anything like his dad, man, then that's a great guy to go out there and get some pointers from. Coach, I will go over to the defensive side now, and we'll talk about your pitchers in particular. You talked about two freshmen. I've seen them pitch. Kyle Novak, obviously, is your senior, and then you got the sophomore, Sean Howe. Talk about your pitchers, the freshmen, the young guys, and then the two, Sean and Kyle as your senior.
Yeah, I always look for more than two pitchers. People always say you got to have a 1 and a 2. I have a 1 or 2, but you always got to look for that 3, 4, 5. If you can have that 3, 4, 5, it comes down to the end of the game. Sometimes you got to put them in some tough situations. You just want them to throw strikes. If they can throw strikes, you just prepare your defense to be ready to make the plays. And right now we have about 5 guys. I would take 5. You have Chris Oatman, who's a freshman, who to me is going to be a really good one because he has a really good off-speed pitch, and he just wants to learn, and just become a really good baseball player. And I'm impressed with him right now. We do have Jackson Gruber, who at sometimes comes in and he struggles a little bit with the walks, but once he gets in the groove, he's going to be okay. Strong kid that helps out. Of course, you have Jackson Cowan, another freshman who I enjoy just working with him, and just trying to get him mentally ready for the game on the mound. And then you have Isaiah. He's always been a pitcher who has come in on some tough situations when he was younger, and he's handled them. He would come in with bases loaded. He'd come in with guys on base. He'd get out of it, and so me, I can throw him out there when I need him to because he's going to handle the pressure and not run away from it. But, the 1-2 we have right now, is Kyle Novak, the senior, who's been waiting for this moment. When he was in 8th grade and Isaiah and Jordy and all those guys were 7th graders, we went undefeated as a junior high program. I think it was like 8 games, and Kyle pitched every single game. So he's been in the moments where he's been the guy that's up there, and he's able to be a bulldog and come through. And right now he's come a long way. I still remember when his stepbrothers, Cole Williams and Clay Williams, played for us, and he'd be in the back throwing that tennis ball against the wall all game long. And then now you got him as a senior, and it's enjoyable to see him on the mound where he really has that passion for the game. And we're very happy to have him in our staff, but Sean Howe, the sophomore, he's special. And, I've coached 20 years, and just to have him around and see his maturity, to see how he understands the game. His dad, Jerry Howe, played in college, and so did his mom. And, just the college mentality that he has is going to help him tremendously. He's going to be a special one, and the sky's the limit. I limit him to pitches every now and then, but when we played Sinton a week ago, I let him go. We were going to pull him after 3, and he wanted 4. Then he wanted 5. And, he got in a rhythm, and so I'm impressed with him, happy for him. And, this, like I say, he's our number 1. There's no doubt about it. He's the guy on our staff that we're going to ride to the playoffs, and hopefully he gets about 4 or 5 wins in this district race, and we can be sitting really nice after he gets his wins.
Yeah, I was watching the Sinton game on video. I couldn't make it to the game, but I was watching, and I was anticipating that he was going to pitch, and I was going to send you a text. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. Coach is busy. I'm just going to see. But I kind of figured, because in my mind, I want to see the youngster against the number 1 team, a team that wants to. I was anxious to see. I wanted to see just how well he do, Coach. When you get 11 strikeouts against the number 1 team in the state as a sophomore, you're pretty good. You've got to be happy and proud of the way you pitched, all the team, the way they played, right? And his parents. It was amazing to see that kind of performance from him, because that's the best. You're playing the best of the best, right? And if you come out there, it's a confidence builder, I would think, for Sean, right? To say, hey, look, I just played the best team in the state, and they're the number 1. Well, last year, number 1 this year, and this is what I did. If I really put the work in, continue to put the work in, how special can I be? The sky's the limit. And I've talked to him too a few times. I interviewed him once last year. A young kid, but he's got the height, and he looks like as he develops and gets older. And I know he's been spending a lot of time in that weight room. I've seen that. I've seen the pictures. So that's good. He'll just continue to get stronger. I mean, it's just special, Coach, the way you're talking about what this kid's going to be possibly able to do before he graduates this year and the next 2 years. And then you're talking about your young guys. Isaiah will be back next year. Kyle will graduate, but a lot of these pitchers you're talking about, they're coming back next year. So it's special. Like I said, come on out and watch our baseball team here when they play at home. You can travel. Most of the games are just about 30 minutes or so, but definitely when they're at home, come on out, Pirate fans. Support your baseball team. I mean, there's some young guys, there's some great pitchers to come see. I mean, that sitting game must have been great. We didn't get the win, but the performance that he put on there had been great for the Rockport fans. So that's great to see, Coach. I'm going to leave you with one more question, Coach, and it's a community question, and it's kind of more of like, I'm going to try to get it right. You've been the head man here for 4 years. Every coaching position and job is special, no matter where you go. A lot of coaches move around, but you became a head coach here. Oh, wait a minute. I've got one more question before that. I'm sorry, Coach. My bad. Before I end it there, I want to talk a little bit about this season. You had your 100th win in one of the tournaments, I believe, here in Rockport. I saw the pictures that you took with your family and the coaches. I mean, I've heard other coaches come on and talk about, hey, if I win the next 2 years, if I get 10 wins in the next 2 years, I'm going to hit 100. So I've heard coaches say that. So I know it's something in the back of your mind. Not some coaches talk about a lot, but it's in the back of your mind. I'm close. I'm 20 away. I'm 15 away. So I'm assuming that you're just like everybody else, right? Not something you talk about, but something in the back of your mind. I mean, how special was that 100th victory here at home? And having Isaiah, your son, be a big part of be on the team. I mean, how special was that win and that night that you got to celebrate with your team, your coaches, and your family?
Yeah, it was special. I don't. I sometimes I look at it, I'm like, man, I've been doing this too long, and when you start getting those hundreds and you start looking at it, but it was special, a very special night. I would have loved to get it last year. That means we would have been in the 5th round, which would have been awesome. I needed 3 more wins when the season started, and I would have loved to get it in the sitting tournament, before, but God works in mysterious ways for a reason, and we ended up winning 2 games on that Thursday. And the best thing about it was my wife's birthday. Oh, wow. So it was special that we were able to get our 100th win on her birthday. She's my number one fan because for 20 years I've coached baseball, and we spent probably more than half at the baseball field at a tournament or anything like that. I've had teams sing her happy birthday, and that night was special. The guys sang her happy birthday and presented me a little plaque, and it was fun. It was a moment I won't ever forget. The team that I have and the ex-players that came out and congratulated me, and I told them, I said, there wouldn't be no me without you, and that's how it is. I look at it as, every player, every coach who gave me an opportunity to become a head coach, and everything that I've done, it all comes back to what they've let me do. And I appreciate everything that they've done. And I'm ready to get 200. I want to get to 200 now. And, the way the things are going now, it's not going to be that much longer. So, we continue to win, and it'll be enjoyable. That's one thing you did say, though. Having my son on this team won't take that 100 away. I'll always remember that, and hopefully he can be a part of that and understand that when he gets older like me.
Oh, absolutely. And Coach, I'll be the first one to say this here on the Pirates Cove. And as a Pirate fan for many, many years, right? I hope your 200th will be here in Rockport. We're glad to have you here, and we're blessed to have a coach who I think, your connection with the kids, you just know how to connect with those kids. You can see it when you're on the baseball field. If you watch your interaction with the kids, you just know how to connect with them. And I think as a coach, that's special. That's big time. A coach has to be able to connect with the kids to be able to get 100% from them. Sometimes you got to do things that the kid don't understand, but you stick with it, and success comes. I've heard that from a lot of athletes that I've interviewed in the 3 years I've done this that are now playing at the next level, right? They talk about, I didn't want to do this, man. I missed prom. I missed high school game, working, but boy, man, they were sad at the time, but they're just so grateful to their parents for doing that, because now they're at the next level playing the game that they love. So we're lucky to have you here, and hopefully your 200th we'll be here and we'll have you here on the Pirates Coach talking about your 200th win. That'd be great. Coach, I'll give you I have one more question for you, then I'll give you the final thoughts here. There was a community question, and like I was saying earlier, um, every coaching job is special. Coaches move around all the time, but here in Rockport, how special? Because you came here 9 years ago, I believe this is your ninth year, if my math is correct. So you've been here in Rockport for some time now. How special has it been? And in the last 4 years, when you became the head coach, how special was this job for you, the position that you've taken, and the success that you've had here in Rockport, Coach, early on in this season and the 3 or 4 years that you've had here at Rockport? How special was it to become the head coach of the Rockport-Fulton Pirates?
It's very special. It means a lot to me. I'm going to be honest with you. When I came to Rockport 9 years ago, Coach Cyber and me, we were just assistant coaches in Portland when we started 20 years ago as our first years of coaching. And, we were just young coaches just trying to learn the game and be, help kids become, their highest potential. And, I didn't have a thought in my mind to become a head baseball coach. 5 years later, after I left Portland, I had an opportunity to go back to Ingleside and become a head coach there. And I was there for 4 years as a head coach. And I liked it. I was young. I still feel like sometimes I did make a lot of mistakes early. But I told myself, I don't know if I want to be a head coach ever again. So I ended up leaving there and going to Robstown for 2 years. And I learned so much there about baseball and tradition and just how to get kids to buy into a program and just those kind of things that kind of made me have that fire again, But when Coach Cyber called me to come to Rockport 9 years ago, I told him, Coach, I'll come and just be an assistant coach. Let me get into that baseball program. I've always played Rockport. It's the 20 years that I've coached, the 11 years outside of Rockport, we always played Rockport. And I know what kind of kids there are, and I know what kind of baseball programs they can be. And, that first year we were there, me, Coach Hal, and Coach Cavazos and Coach Reeder, we went 3 rounds that first year. And, man, I was like, man, this is going to be an awesome decision that I made just to become a coach here. And, 4 years went by, and, the next year was the 5th year. And Coach Hal ended up going and moving on to become a principal. And Coach Seibert asked me, he's like, do you want to apply, or do you want this job? And it was the same answer I gave him 9 years ago when he just hired me to become a coach. I said, Coach, I'm all board. I'm on board. Let's roll. I said, I want this. So, we took it and the first year I was excited and COVID hit. So you were just like, kind of like, you feel so bad for those kids that I didn't get to finish that season because they were going to be special. And I knew that first year was going to be, I looked at my schedule and I said, man, we're going to win probably 20 games guaranteed. And, COVID had other things for our decisions that year and they canceled. And then, so the following year we got to play it and we won 17 games. And then last year we won 23. And so, just to be able to say that I'm a Rockport-Fulton head baseball coach has been the greatest profession, the greatest title I've ever had in my 20 years, because now, I'm a veteran coach in South Texas. And when you're a veteran coach in South Texas, you kind of earn your respects because you've had to pay your dues. And, I can go to conventions, I can go to clinics, I can call any coach in the South Texas and, they have respect for our program. Mm-hmm. And to me, that is what I work for. I work for other teams to understand that Rockport-Fulton baseball is going to play aggressive. They're going to play hard and they're going to fight to the end. And, I've had coaches tell me that. They're like, man, your kids are great. Your kids never give up. They're battling, they're always going to compete. And that's what I want. Our motto is compete. That's all I go with is compete. And that's what we ask for every time we do it. And, that community question of being how special it is, it's very special, and I'm just thankful for my opportunities and hopefully to retire in 10, 15 years as a Rockport-Fulton head coach and be able to get, like you said, my 200th win and so forth, because there are great kids and there's great community support with people that want to grow the baseball community and the baseball program. And, we have 33 baseball players in our high school program. And this is the first year we had junior high tryouts and I kept 30 kids. So we have 15 on the 7th grade team and 15 in the 8th grade team. which puts 63 kids in our program that I feel like can potentially help us for the next 6 years in baseball. And if you look at that number, I mean, that is a great number to have. And to say, you know, out of 15 7th or 8th graders, let's say half, 8 make it to their senior year. That's a big group of seniors that you have as a program. And you say, hey, 8 guys are graduating this year, but 8 guys are coming the next year. So, you know, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to build a program to where every year we have consistently making the playoffs, consistently playing for a playoff spot, and hopefully to play for a district championship. And that's our main goal.
We're gonna get there, Coach. We're gonna get there. And I had Coach Reyes on last week, and so I'm gonna tell you the same thing I told her. You guys, the coaches, now that I've done the podcast, I pay closer attention. We bring in kids, and the coaches here. You guys never want recognition. You always put it on somebody else. But I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys props because I think you deserve it. Having you here and just watching what you've done, like I said, the wins and losses, I mean, the wins are good. We get losses, but the wins are great. But I think it goes deeper than that. Like I said, I think, and I've said this before on the podcast, our coaches really care about our kids. And I've had Coach Bates on, and he talks a lot about wanting to grow them into great young men. It's not just about the wins and the losses, right? It's about getting them to understand life and becoming great young men when they graduate. And I think in the last 9 years, we've had great coaches here in Rockport. Not only are we winning, but we're doing great. And I remember when I was in Rockport, we didn't always win, Coach. I had the same fire that I have now, but we didn't win a lot. And it was not, and we just didn't win. We were competing. If we got to the playoffs in the first round, we thought we were in the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? We're going to the playoffs. Now we're getting into the third round, Coach. And it's not just baseball, softball, man. I mean, we've had a power lifter state champ last year, back to back. We got some kids going back there here on Friday. Tomorrow, I think they leave. Yeah. Our football team has been for the last 9 years. We've been great. Our program, they know us. Our basketball boys and girls, our soccer teams. I mean, it's just great to be an RF Pirate, green and gold, right? And that's a credit to the coaches. And I know you guys don't give yourselves a lot of credit, but I'm going to do it here and every time I get a chance to, because it's great as a fan, man, to be able to say, hey, man, we're going to the playoffs and we're going to get to the third round and we're going to be competitive in the third round. I mean, we're going to get in there, and if they don't play their game, they're going to have to come with their A game because we can beat anybody. It's great. And when it comes to baseball, it seems like we're getting there, Coach. I mean, we're getting ourselves on the map. We've got guys that are excited, playing hard. And you got to come out and see the Rockport-Fulton Pirate baseball team. I mean, they're going to play a game here at home on Friday against West Oso at 7. I'm going to be there. So I'm going to be able to live stream it. So I'm going to go to as many games as I can. But don't just wait for that live stream. Come on out to the Pirate baseball field. The kids and the coach definitely like to hear all of the noise and see a lot of people out there. So Friday at 7, I believe, Coach, come on out, support your Pirates. The district game. We'll be taking on the West Oso Bears. It's going to be a good one. And the district is just starting, so there's still a lot of baseball left. Come on out and support your Rockport-Fulton Pirate baseball team. Coach, thank you for coming on, man. I really enjoyed your time here. This podcast, it will be uploaded tomorrow morning, and then you can catch it on our Pirates Cove Facebook, Twitter page, and you can also catch it on Spotify now, Anchor, on the audio version. So you can be driving around, you can hear me and Coach talk a little bit of Rockport-Fulton Pirate baseball. I'll give you the final word, Coach, here on the Pirates Cove. Anything you want to say before we call it a night?
I just want to say thank you for all the support that you have for all these Rockport-Fulton Pirate players and coaches. This is special. This is something that the kids, 20 years from now can go back on and just see how much y'all have contributed to us as a coaching staff. And, I just want to everyone that gets an opportunity to come watch us play, come on, enjoy the game. We this is the first year in a couple of years we have actually a true freshman baseball team that is going to play before the JV team. They play at 5:30, and then the JV plays at 7. And then varsity plays on Tuesdays and Fridays. Freshmen and JV usually play on Thursdays, but varsity plays on Tuesdays and Fridays at 7. Come out and support the boys. They put in a lot of work. I see them growing just not only as players, but as student athletes and as men. And we have a good time. We have a bond that's unbreakable. And I tell them all the time, you're family for the rest of your lives. And, that comes from just the love that everybody has for the community. And I appreciate everything that their parents are supportive of us. And and let us grow them into men, and we're hard on them. We're all hard, but we ask for perfection because we tell them in life it's not always going to be rainbows. It's not always going to be the best. You're going to go through some failures, and you're going to go through some troubled times, and you're going to have some losses in your life that you have to move forward. You have to flush it and move on, because whatever happens is in the past, and it's time to keep going on in the present. So I appreciate everything you've done for us, and hopefully we get to talk again, and we'll be in the playoffs and talking about playoff matchups, and that'll be awesome. And I can't wait to be able to do that with you again. But I thank you very much for everything that you do for us.
Oh, absolutely, Coach. And I'll be bringing you back on before the district ends, and we'll just wait and see how the playoff picture comes. But we're definitely going to invite Coach Elizondo back. Coach, I'll see you on Friday. I'll be there around early 5 o'clock, set everything up. You can watch the game on GT Sports as I start to live stream the baseball and softball games. I'll be doing the baseball game this Friday, varsity taking on West Osa. So if you can't make the game, please tune in and watch these boys. Hopefully we'll get the win. Good luck on Friday. Good luck the rest of the season. I'll be bringing you back toward the end of the season, and I'll see you, Coach, on Friday. Have a good one, Coach.
See ya.